Once upon a time. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, your destination for imagination.
Australian Book Lovers acknowledges First Nations peoples and recognises their continuous connection to country, community and to culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and honour the sharing of traditional stories passed down through generations. We're committed to a safe and inclusive welcome for authors and readers of all cultures and backgrounds, including people of LGBTQIA+ communities and their families.
Welcome to our wonderful writers' room today. At ABL, our mission is not only about celebrating and sharing fabulous Australian and Indigenous authored books of all genres with readers around the globe. It's about finding fantastic resources and information for authors looking to write their first or next book. And what better resource than getting into the writer's room of some of those authors and asking them to share their experiences. So we are episode 175, and I'm Laurie Bell, science fiction and fantasy author. Was mentioning my lovely middle grade / YA series, The Stones of Power, earlier before we started recording. And we have middle grade authors to talk to today, Veronica.
Absolutely, and it is fantastic. So whose country are you on, Laurie, before we go?
Oh, yes, Wurundjeri Wurrung country down in very chilly Victoria.
Absolutely chilly up here in the Macedon Ranges. So I'm also on Wurundjeri country, and Veronica Strachan, aka V.E. Patton. Not to be confused with one of our lovely authors this evening, who is in fact Tina Strawn, spelt the same, but we worked out last time we spoke completely different. Hello, Tina, how are you?
Hi, yeah, really good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Whose traditional country are you on tonight?
I am on the Kombumerri country of the Yugambeh language people here in the otherwise known as the beautiful Gold Coast.
Fantastic, yes. And you've got Neeka and a whole lot of fabulous crew from the Wilder Zoo, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Good evening to Leisa Fail. How are you, Leisa?
Yes, very well. Thank you for having me on.
Beautiful. And whose country are you on tonight, Leisa?
Gubby Gubby country up in Sunshine Coast.
Beautiful. And you're probably both a lot warmer than us. Excellent. All right. Thank you. And our final middle grade author is Charlie Archbold. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, hello. How are you?
Yeah, very well. A little bit colder now. You're over where? Whose country are you on?
I'm coming to you from Ghana land in Adelaide Plains.
Beautiful.
Cold,
Yeah.
but lovely.
Yeah. Cold but lovely. And do you get the fog over there, the Adelaide fog, or the hills that come in, or not so much?
We do get the hills. We do get the fog. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we came through just on after some holidays a little while back, and fabulous fogs as we came through some of those hills there. So, yeah, there you go. So from all over Australia, which is fantastic. We really just need somebody from the West here, and we have a lot of it covered. So, middle grade, we've got Neeka and the Wilder Zoo, we've got Stormy, Normy and Charlie and all the beautiful horsey adventures, and Charlie has also does mystery and adventure with the Sugarcane kids. So it was saying that I think, I'm missing out a lot not reading middle grade adventure books.
Yes,
so, yeah,
so
mine have I think, crime and stories, a lot more violence and blood. But anyway, we'll move on from that because this is middle grade. Okay. Yes. We are going to start with some to tell people about your bio and your last book, because you've all got a series, and we'll talk about the series a little bit first. So the first person I've got is Leisa. Beautiful. And look, I'm a bit sad that we can't see Storm. I'm sure, he's out in in the paddock or being very good. But anyway, your last book, which is book 3 in the series, is Stormy. No, this is book 4. Stormy, Normy and the Christmas Surprise. This is a bonus. What's the word? This is, what do you say it when it's unique? I've lost my words.
Sure where you go, but we'll find it.
No, it's like no one else has got it. This is Come on, people. We're all authors. We know the word.
Unique.
Exclusive.
Exclusive, yes. Thank you, Tina.
Together we can do this. Together we can get it done, ladies.
Absolutely. Beautiful. All right, let's start that bit again.
Teamwork.
Anyone think we worked with words? All right. First of all, everyone, I'm going to share with you Stormy, Normy and the Christmas Surprise, which is Leisa's 4th book. Now, when a phone call from Peter brings unexpected news, Stormy, Normy and Charlie return to McKinley, the place where Stormy's story first began. Word has spread that Midnight, Stormy's birth mother, may be somewhere nearby. For Stormy, it's the chance he's been dreaming of, the hope of finally meeting the mayor who gave him life. But the wet season is closing in fast. Flooded creeks, rising storms and the vast outback landscape threaten to steal precious time. If Stormy and Charlie can't find Midnight before the rains cut them off, they may lose their chance at a reunion forever. And even if they do find her, Midnight faces a heartbreaking choice. Remain a wild Brumby, free to roam the land she knows, or risk everything for a son she's never had the chance to raise. This Christmas, Stormy Normy discovers that family isn't always simple, and love doesn't divide, it grows. A heartfelt story of courage, belonging, and the bonds that shape us. Stormy Normy and the Christmas Surprise brings the series full circle in an unforgettable emotional journey. Perfect for readers who love horses, adventure, and stories filled with heart. Other Stormy Normy adventures? Stormy Normy finds his forever home, Stormy Normy and the Tom Quilty Cup, and Leisa, I'm really sorry because we switched at the last minute. What's book 3?
Stormy Normy Goes Raining.
Yes, yay! Stormy Normy Goes Raining. That's right. And I had to look that up and see what all about raining. So that's fantastic. So brilliant. And this is out soon, coming soon. It is an exclusive. Thank you, Tina Strong, for telling me what that word was. Okay, a little bit about Leisa. An Australian children's author, horse lover and advocate for resilience. Growing up in Ipswich, she discovered 2 lifelong passions early, horses and storytelling. Her writing journey began in grade 7 when a teacher questioned how a student could produce such a detailed story, sparking a love for creative writing that later led her to study at Griffith University. For 10 years, her horse Storm was her escape, carrying her through rain, hail and shine. When Storm retired in 2018, Leisa turned to writing their stories as a way to cope with stress, a practice that became the foundation of the adventures of Stormy Normy. Written from the horse's point of view, her books gently teach coping strategies such as deep breathing and grounding exercises woven naturally into each adventure. Now living on the Sunshine Coast, as Leisa shared, Leisa shares stories that help children discover courage, friendship and their own unique paths. There you go. So that's a little bit about Leisa and Stormy Normy, and he is a real horse, which is just lovely. You can see lots of his photos on the socials.
Got to see him last Christmas.
Yeah, we did. So if anybody looks at our last Christmas episode, Leisa and Stormy did a little vignette out in the paddock, which was just fantastic. That was gorgeous.
Yep.
All right.
And he's 22 years old this year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Hopefully he's tucked in nice and warm tonight.
It's not that cold up there.
Yeah, we forget, Laurie.
Yeah, we do.
All right, Leisa, tell us, obviously Storm's the inspiration, but what was the kind of kernel of, I have to write this story? How did that, you and Storm and him retiring and all of those things, how did it inspire you to write the first book?
Well, horse riding is an all-consuming passion of mine. My husband used to say the only reason I did endurance was an excuse to go horse riding every day. He's probably right. I don't really cope with not riding well. So I was in quite a stressful job when Storm had to retire, and my next horse was only 18 months old, and that's too young to start riding and doing too much with. So I found myself kind of lost with no true north. I started doing a lot of practicing grounding and breathing exercises, everything that's in my book, because I was trying to find coping strategies, because no matter what my day was, I could jump on Storm and go for a ride and all my worries would be lost, but I'd lost that opportunity and that escape. So I took up writing his story. So it was only ever book 1, and it was only ever written just to helped me get through a very difficult time. And then a few years later, a friend of mine was going through a hybrid publisher for her own paranormal fantasy, absolutely nothing like my stories. But she put me onto her hybrid publisher, Juliet, up at Palm Cove at the Rudy Pen. And it was she opened the door. I gave her an A4 piece of paper and she gave me book one. And then it kind of went from there. I know that sounds very simplified, but she really held my hand through the whole process. And then the Tom Quilty was something that I was very, very passionate about. We've just had the 60th anniversary here at Imbil, not far from where I live. But what was important for me was Storm was actually chosen for the Queensland team for the 50th anniversary quilty. We drove from Cairns to the Hawkesbury to compete. Spoiler alert, sorry. But it's such an iconic sport, and I just wanted to get it out there because not everyone knows what the Tom Quilty Gold Cup is. So I think it's very important and very much enmeshed in our history. But he wasn't the right horse for that sport either. So people said he's a lovely horse and you'll have a nice time with him, but you'll have to find something else if you ever want to do a quilty. And we proved them wrong. 3,000 kilometres later, 2 quilty belt buckles, a state championship and a 400-kilometre marathon.
Wow.
He did it all.
Go Storm. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so then book 3 took off. And then obviously book 3 was going to be the actual end of the series. And I was quite happy with the ending. And then fans reached out and said, no, when does he find his mum again? Like, we need to know what happened to Midnight. And Midnight's like 2 chapters in book 1. And I didn't realise how much fans were needing that connection between them both. So Storm was actually... he was separated from his mum. It's all very based on a true story, but nothing in book 4 actually ever happened. It's just what the fans asked for. One of the characters in my book, Peter, he's passed away, but his grandkids are actually reading about him in these stories now. So that's kind of nice to be able to share that along.
That's lovely.
Yeah, so Peter comes back for book 4, and there's a little Easter egg in there about my next series that I'm starting to write now.
Ooh,
so
very good. Watch this space. All right. Thank you, Leisa. Laurie, over to you.
Oh, I get to tell you all about Neeka and the Great Search. So, when you live in a zoo, things can get wild. The final book in the Wilder series by the lovely Tina Strawn, making sure I say the surname correctly, 11-year-old Neeka Wilder is living her dream, spending her days with wildlife, learning how to be a vet like her mum, and hanging out with Hudson and Rumi, her 2 best friends. When Hudson and Rumi go away for the school holidays, Neeka creates a big list of zoo jobs to keep herself busy. But her plans go anything but smoothly. With 3 a.m. wake-ups, video editing fails, friendship troubles, and a search for an injured wild koala Joey, Neeka's life just got a whole lot busier. And some of the other Neeka adventures, Neeka and the Lost Key and Neeka and the Storm. And really, the best part about these books is the zoo life. Zoo life, animals. Oh, it's marvelous. Tina, I'll read your bio and then you can tell us what got you into writing about a zoo. So, Tina Strawn is a children's book author who has spent 20 years working and studying wildlife conservation, including through zookeeping, vet nursing, research, and as a conservation officer. These unique experiences provide fodder for her debut middle grade series, Wilder Zoo, and Tina lives on the Gold Coast in Queensland with her husband, 2 boys, and their cavoodle. Tina, zoo life.
Yes, zoo life. I know. How fun. I've been very fortunate. I've had, like my bio suggests, over 20 years experience working with wildlife now through just all the different avenues that you said, captive animals, captive breeding programs, research, working in the field, doing, I still volunteer for our local wildlife rescue group. Searching for animals in the wild, all those sorts of things. Just quite a broad scope. I've really had some pretty amazing experiences and some very unique experiences. And I guess that's how could you not write about that, right? Like, I think it's lots of kids' dream to work in a zoo. And it was really great to I guess I tried to weave as much of that sort of background information in, or behind the scenes information in that, you know, kids or other people, like even adults. I mean, like when I worked in zoos, even adults follow you around and they want to know what you're holding in the bucket and who are you feeding next and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's yeah, so I just wanted to fit as much of that in as possible.
I think we all go through that. We go to the zoo through school and suddenly we're all zookeepers.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been very fortunate. But yeah, I mean, a lot like, you know, Lisa was saying, it was beautiful hearing that story about Lisa and her horses and Stormy. Same sort of thing, just that passion for it that just kind of infiltrates your life in many ways. And yeah, it's just getting it out onto the paper is kind of like reliving it again.
Oh,
Fantastic.
yeah.
All right, Charlie, let's have a chat about the Sugarcane Kids and the empty cage. So Gloria, the talking eclectus parrot, is missing from the animal sanctuary, and Anna, the massive, not an anaconda, Australian scrub python, has vanished from her enclosure at the library. Have they escaped, or were they stolen? And when Andy and the Sugarcane Kids hear about an illegal native animal trade, they know they have to investigate, and fast. Gloria and Anna are not only much-loved residents of their small coastal town in far north Queensland, but they also have very peculiar care needs. Their lives could be in danger. Andy, Ellie, Harvey and the twins Bernie and Fletch, along with Andy's trusty sausage dog Washington, have their eyes on a prime suspect, the hench, the fierce, mean new canteen lady who is behaving very strangely. Can the Sugarcane Kids follow the clues to discover what is going on? And will they find Gloria and Anna in time? And what unexpected dangers lie in wait for them? Find out in this exciting new Sugarcane Kids adventure. Other adventures are the Sugarcane Kids and the Red Bottom Boat and the Sugarcane Kids and the Mystery at Angel Bay. Absolutely classic cozy mysteries, looking fabulous there. Let me tell you a little bit more about Charlie. Of course, a children's author with a deep love for storytelling. Her books have won the Readings Prize, a David Award, the Adelaide Festival Unpublished Manuscript Award, and received CBCA Notable and Honour Awards. Charlie is a Premier's Reading Challenge ambassador and writes characters who want to make things better in their world. Well, fantastic. So mysteries and a little bit of mayhem in your adventures, Charlie. Tell us, where did all of that begin?
It's funny. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. And I just love the common theme through everyone's books about animals. Because I think that middle grade readers, they love animals and all the sort of adventures that go around them. And for me, I didn't really know I was writing mysteries at first, but it felt to me that this group of kids, especially, you know, Andy and Eli, they really needed to solve problems. And so then that's how I kind of got into writing mysteries that they solve that are in their community. So it's the same kids, and then there's all sorts of trouble happens in their small town and they have to solve it. But all of the adventures always have an animals or animals at their kind of heart. Yeah.
Which is fantastic. It doesn't become like Midsummer, does it, where everybody, you know, there's always murders and you never want to go and live in Midsummer. But no, I'm sure that far north Queensland is not that dangerous. Or maybe it is.
That town sees a lot of trouble. Yeah, but it always ends well. It always ends well. And yeah, so they solve the crimes. So,
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do you think that, sorry, Laurie?
Go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just going to say, follow up on the animal story. Why the animal element? Why do animals appeal so much as great story vehicles, I guess, for middle graders? Yeah. Why do you think that works so well with middle graders?
The age of our middle grade readers, they love animals and they love the environment and the world that they're in. And I think they're motivated by animals and animal histories and stories. And they're a great way to then overlay human, you know, emotions or problems. And yeah, they soften the world, but they make it interesting as well.
That nicely described.
Yeah. Tina, do you want to jump in?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking that. And I was just wondering, you know, I guess as we get older, do we just lose our we don't keep in touch with that sort of side of us anymore. And animals are like magical, wonderful, innocent little creatures and beings. And when you're younger, you're sort of, I guess, maybe a bit more open to that. I mean, we would all love to still have that sort of whimsical kind of connection with animals, but I think, yeah, you just unfortunately, adults, like, we lose lots of that wonderful joy of being a child. And yeah, maybe that's a little bit of a part of it. But yeah, they do, I think they do see they see animals as like a beautiful, wonderful, magical sort of beings, don't they? And they're just so interesting. And there's like, honestly, some of the craziest stories that you could ever make up are actually true. Like, and some of the things that these animals do, that is just, yeah, pretty incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. What about you, Lisa? Anything to add to that?
No, I think the ladies have it all covered there. But for me, it was I wanted to tell Storm's story. I didn't want to tell it from my point of view, and I kind of like to hide behind Storm and just go, no, it's his story. It's nothing to do with me. I just put some pen on paper.
Just a little bit. Lovely. All right, Laurie, your turn. Sorry, I'm hogging the questions. I'm a shocker.
No, that's all right. I was thinking exactly the same, and certainly I taught in primary school for the shortest period in existence, I think. But I was at the school right next to Hillsville Sanctuary, and we were able to take the kids over to the sanctuary all the time. And it's just the seeing animals they don't see daily, I think, and particularly horse girls, horse boys. There is such a connection to these magnificent animals, and the same with the unique animals from the zoo. They're just so big in comparison, apart from meerkats that are just hilarious, and I love them so much. But there's I guess you're writing for kids, so it's a different type of world that you're creating and communicating and finding a way to communicate. What messages do you really focus on in your middle grades that you're hoping that kids will actually come away with and think, I love this book because of XYZ? So, Lisa, do you want to keep going since we were on you?
Sure. Keep throwing me in the deep end. I said to, didn't I? All of my books all have lessons, and as I say, I always try and put the breathing, grounding, gratitude, those types of things. Like book 3 about Stormy Normy going raining is about learning to mess it up and learn. It's okay to get it wrong, because that's how you get it right. And the best horses out there, they got it wrong more than anyone else ever attempted it. So don't be afraid to get it wrong over and over and over again. That's how you get it right. Book 1 is all about, it's okay to look different. Stormy Normy's a Brumby. He gets put in with some really well-bred horses, and they want to pick on him. Where a wise mare, who's actually based on a very good friend of mine, teaches him the grounding and breathing exercises, but also self-acceptance. Why do you look the way you do? Your heritage is actually important, and yeah, you're unique. Embrace that. And once you start embracing it, they can't pick on you for it. So it broaches those sorts of subjects too. And obviously book 2 about the quilty is, you can tell me I can't do it, but I'm going to prove you all wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love planting those little messages throughout the book series. And I think kids, when I ask them what did you like the most about my books, they're all coming back saying, oh, I like the breathing exercises, I like the grounding exercises. And
Isn't that amazing?
They're actually,
Yeah.
because I know as a child, my mum could tell me until she was blue in the face and I would never listen to her. But if a character in the book told me, it was like, oh no, he knows what he's doing. So that's why I've added those in. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Charlie?
My sort of message for my kids is that by working together with sort of teamwork and friendship, they can solve the sort of injustice in their community. So it's very much about coming together as a group, using everybody's skills and solving the mysteries with their own child logic. So yeah, so that's really the sort of I suppose the idea behind the story. They want to make things right in their world.
Oh, I love that. Tina?
Yeah, I don't really set out to put messages in the books, but they just innately happen anyway, don't they? As you know, your characters have, go through the whole arc of their story. It just, I start with, I guess, kind of my external problems first in the story. So the external issues. So like obviously Neeka and the missing key, she like loses her very important key, which is just one part of, the whole story, but it just kind of is what gets it sort of in motion. And Neeka and the storm, a massive storm hits the zoo, which is a lot of, it was just quite dangerous when you're caring for lots of animals. And Neeka and the Great Search, obviously it's, is about searching for animals, but, also kind of searching for, a lot of other things like friendship and things like that. But yeah, I sort of start with the kind of adventure first, but, if they're solving that adventure, they have to have that internal change anyway. That's the only way that they can really solve it. So yeah, I guess, it's interesting to see at the end what has sort of aspired. And, it's usually a lot of themes around sort of trust and honesty, admitting when you've done something wrong, or, sharing a problem and asking someone for help, not keeping it all inside because you don't want to, you're trying to do the right thing, or you don't want to upset anyone, or, Neeka finds it quite hard to focus, as I feel any child that lived in a zoo probably would too. Anything outside of, schoolwork, that sort of thing, it's quite easy to get distracted by the elephants and the zebras and things like that when you've got schoolwork that's to be done. And so like a lot of responsibility there as well. And I just a really kind of gentle weaving of the conservation message throughout as well, the wildlife conservation message, because I really didn't want kids to feel like they were like getting taught a lesson or something while they were reading, because that's probably the first thing that will make them shut the book and never open it again, because they don't like, knowing that they're learning a lesson. So yeah, just gently sort of weaving that in a way where they can't quite tell.
Nice. That's the way to do it.
It's a real balance, though, isn't it, between educational and entertaining? And it's, do you get feedback from middle graders, and do they tell you they liked it more because it was funny or because it was exciting in the adventure? And, they pick up some great things. Lisa, you're talking about them picking up the grounding exercises. So how do you find that balance between entertainment and education? Actually, Lisa, we'll start with you, because I know you've got your books aimed at kids with dyslexia, so you've made them easy for those kids to read. So how do you balance that?
I don't. I honestly, I just start writing and I find my characters start telling me what I need to do.
Okay.
And it's strange because I'll be on the mower and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you've missed a point there. You need to go back and add that. For me, I had a story I wanted to write about Storm, but in between all of that, usually like the mess it up and learn, I was having a lot of problems with some technical stuff at work, and I figured out I kept asking questions and no one was coming back and telling me what I needed to know, and I figured out they didn't know. Yeah. So I had to figure it out myself. So I just had to mess it up and learn a lot. And it's so those little messages. It's basically, for me, these are books I wanted to read as a child. So that's how I guess I find that balance. If I read it and go, that's too much, I'll rewrite it. Yeah. So it's a lot of editing, rewriting through. It's also understanding where things need to come in the story and culling it. If it's not working, culling it. And what I do is I just add that to my newsletter. Book 2 was full of, it was nearly 18,000 words, and it's come back down. I think it was 15 by the end. So my newsletter readers get, here's a whole quilty that I cut out because it was just destroying the story. But yeah, that feedback, I send it off to a middle grade reader and a non-horsey middle grade reader, and that they just give you the best feedback, because what's a palomino? I don't actually know what that is at all. Yep, righto, got to put that in there. Yeah. So and it's finding that fine line between horsey kids and non-horsey kids, and not killing it for the horsey kids either, because if you over explain things, they know it already. Yeah,
you can make them skip.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Yeah. So, Charlie, for you, mysteries, and you've got puzzles, and, obviously wanting kids to look outside the square, so how do you balance that kind of educational and entertainment?
Oh, I think I went first just like for the story itself. I just kind of always had in mind readers who, just wanted to read a book just for an adventure and just to solve some sort of drama in their world. And so I think the sort of education bit kind of, I don't really know how that sort of, it wasn't a conscious thing. Sorry, I'm just thinking. It wasn't a conscious thing. It was just the way that the story evolved. I kind of just wanted them to have a good read. And I think with mysteries, you want the reader to solve the problem with the characters. So I put in lots of red herring, lots of people that could be the baddie but aren't the baddie. Those sorts of the same sort of things you find in adult sort of mysteries, to kind of like keep the story going along. Yeah.
Excellent. All the crime tropes. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
All
lots
right.
of crime tropes. Beginning crime right.
Yeah, Tina, you've all got such rich worlds that you can go with, and as you said, you've got a very gentle message of conservation. So, yeah.
I think like Leisa and Charlie said, similar sort of thing. You just write the story, and I don't know, is it innately because it is for children that you just find that education just sort of comes as part of it anyway. Maybe there is a bit of a responsibility when you're writing for children, I think, and you do have to sort of, as much as, like I said before, you don't want to teach them any like strong lessons in the stories and turn them off reading them. I think it just, there's just lots of little learning lessons for them in the way that we write for middle grade anyway. So how do I balance it? I guess, try not to be too serious, I suppose. I don't actively seek out trying to do it, but I do try and find, and it's probably the same for all, age groups of writing. You do balance that sort of dark with the light, don't you? So even, I was just thinking then about, the last book, Neeka and the Great Search, that all is lost moment where she's just like, she was in the middle of a creek and she had fallen over and she was like full of mud and she was just really just having a really bad day and her friends were gone and like they hadn't found this koala joey in the bush and it was all just like, and then all of a sudden you hear a bubble pop and it's her friend that is actually standing there on the creek and she's blowing bubbles in it, which is what she does all the time. And then her other friend's there and it's this beautiful moment and they pull her out, but she's slipping and sliding and then falls on them and everybody's wet and all these things happen. And then they just have this she has this epiphany moment after that when they have this conversation about, how they can try and solve one of the problems in the book. And I guess just sort of, even though like she was just at her lowest point, they find the sort of the joy and the happiness and the fun in it as well. So I guess just weaving in those little bits and pieces and those little funny moments and, having lots of characters that can help with that as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's a question I want to jump into next because middle grade, whether we like it or not, we end up with a fairly large cast of characters. So all of the Sugarcane kids, all of the animals that pop up, all of the friends that they meet along the way and new friends. And then you get to book 2 and you've got to reference those friends. And one or two or 20 of those friends are going to pop back in book 2. And then in book 3, there are still those references. So, how do you go about keeping track of all your friend characters and animal characters? And also, how do you make them unique, that interesting voice, whether it's certainly visually, I would be imagining a giant python, there's going to be a really, really interesting character right there. But how are you doing that with the friends and certainly Leisa with your horses too? So Tina, since we were just on you talking about friends, tell me how do you go with your cast of characters?
Yeah, well, I actually managed to keep it sort of like tight with the main characters, but then there's a whole zoo, right? And so there's a whole staff that work at this zoo, which is a very big zoo, and I and then there's the animals. Okay, so that whole animal thing was a lot because there was animals which were the characters as well that were in, a couple of the books or all of the books. And I actually had to draw a zoo map when I was writing it in the beginning, because I'd send them off to the left to the like lions, and 2 chapters before they kind of left the vet clinic and went to the right, and then, you know what I mean? Like I just sort of, and they passed this and they passed that, so I had to like actually do a map that I could then
Yep.
follow. And then I actually got quite, because I was very particular at trying to make sure that the like animals and everything they did in the zoo was really quite accurate. Like, I was like talking to vets and asking them exactly how many tablets would you give a giraffe pain medication. No kid cares if it was 9 or 7, but I was like trying to be very, very correct. But like on a serious note, like when you say writing about elephants, captive elephants, there are only certain number and sex ratio that you can have together. Like you can't have big bulls in with the matriarch females. And I, at one point before I got researched that, I had that, and then I had younger males, and it's like that just actually wouldn't ever happen. And look, I know many people probably wouldn't even pick up on that, but I think there actually would be. There's lots of kids who are really into this sort of thing, and I didn't want to just be writing whatever I wanted to just for the sake of it. So I had like so many lists. I write in Scrivener. I don't know if
Love Scrivener.
lots of people who listen to this would know what Scrivener is, but for those that don't, it's like a writing program, and it just lets you. So I just had all these files. Like you can do character descriptions and stuff in Scrivener, and sometimes I do that for like the first 2 or 3, or maybe the first family. But then like for the animals, I really had to be like, every time I added an animal, I had to add it to this list because I didn't want to forget that I added the animal in the second one. And I don't know. So that was a lot. So that's how I tried to keep track of them anyway.
That's really good. I like the way that you've done that. So, Charlie, what about you with all the kids? It's a lot of kids.
I've got quite a lot of characters going, but I think because I write it all from Andy's perspective, everyone that he's in touch with comes from his world. So he uses lots of like nicknames. So that's one way that I can keep the reader keeping track of everybody. So like in the first book, there's 2 baddies and they're called Sausage and Mash. In the second book, there are 2 called, there's the Hench and the Snow Peas. In the third book, there's this character called Marmalade. So I get him to name and manage everyone in the story because it's written from his perspective. So that helps me to sort of, control it. And I'm like, if Andy doesn't know them, then I have to introduce them through his eye and keep track of them through his world.
Leisa?
Mine's pretty easy because this first book series is all but based on people and animals that I know. And I've had a lot of fun writing book 4 because Stormy, Normy's little brothers, who are now like older horses to me, I've got to really write their characters in there. And I've had a lot of fun with that. But I have to admit, my next book series, Eric's Adventures, which is coming out next year, the editor, my first draft through, she sent it back and goes, your characters are just flat. Like, I had my main character and everyone else was just like there to support him and didn't have their own sort of personality. So it is something I have actually had to really work on. And it's something, I have them here. There's the negative traits thesaurus and the positive traits thesaurus.
I love that.
Love those.
They are so good.
Yes.
So like I ear tag them with different colors for what the traits are for those characters. And it's understanding, what sort of voice, what sort of mannerisms, starting to actually bring that into it. It was much easier when I had an idea of a person that I was writing that character for, where now I've had to actually step out of my comfort zone and actually really invent characters. So this next series it's testing me,
but in a good ways.
In a good way, absolutely. It's I needed to evolve and grow, so
fantastic. All right, we're going to go a little bit back to your own childhood. I want to ask you, who was your favourite book or books as a child? Charlie?
I loved the Narnia series.
Oh, who didn't really? They're fantastic.
And then I also read, I just sort of read a lot, really. I read everything I could kind of get my hands on. And then, of course, there are all the books as well that you read through school. But I was always drawn to fantasy, boarding schools, anything that wasn't my home.
Yes, get me out of here. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
get me out of here. Not that it was bad, but
Oh, no, but yes, it's always better on the other side. What about you, Tina? Sorry, keep going, Charlie.
Oh no, all I ever wanted to do was go to boarding school.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? We always want something else.
It's mad. Yeah.
All right, Tina, favourite books?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't actually think I had a favorite one book, but I read quite broadly. I think I read every single one of the Babysitter's Club. And
There were
Sweet
a
Valley
lot.
High. There were a lot. And
books.
Sweet Valley High. But same thing, like Charlie was saying, I think it was the settings and the escapism of it. And it was American. Like, we never did that sort of stuff. It was so different. And I loved the super special ones where they would go away on holiday elsewhere. They always had these like amazing beach houses and stuff.
Yep.
I just
And the
loved
books
that
were
sort of
thicker,
thing.
so they were
thicker,
fun.
and it was like special, and it was very exciting. And then, but then I read everything from them too. Like, I think I read all of R.L. Stein and Christopher Pike. Do you guys remember Christopher Pike? Like horror and thriller
Horror.
stuff. So, a little bit of both. Yeah, I remember reading them very young, and then I felt like, because my dad was a Stephen King fiend, and then I feel like I kind of just jumped to Stephen King after that. So yeah, it was a
And
big.
you're writing middle grade zoo stories.
I know, it's funny, yeah, and but now I literally read everything now. It's actually not much horror. Actually, no horror now. So I'm scared of it now.
Lisa.
My favourite book ever growing up was Store Bunnies by Penny Pollack. And it probably resonates with the type of stories I write myself these days now. But as you can imagine, the Silver Brumby, Black Beauty,
Love the
Black
Silver Brumby,
Stallion,
yes.
all
National
of the above.
Velvet, yeah.
Yeah. Anything. I never had a horse growing up, so I just wanted to get my hands on anything horsey. Yeah. So I find
Fantastic.
it interesting when people come past and go, "Oh, my kid's not horsey." They don't like horses, but even people who don't like horses can pick up horse books and actually enjoy them.
Yes.
But that's
Yeah.
coming from someone who's always had a fetish for them. So they've just always been there.
Ah, very good. And so what do you read now? So Tina said you're reading anything but not horror now. So what's the last book that you read, Tina?
Me, the last book, I'm actually on the last few pages now, so I technically haven't finished it,
Yeah.
is Run by Sarah Armstrong. So that's middle grade survival thriller, that one is.
Wow.
But the one I finished just before that, which I just looked at when I came in here, which I was really excited about, this is an advanced copy. This is Protector of Beyond by Charlotte Curlett, and it's going to be huge. And it's out in September, and it's fantasy. It's lots of fun, that one. So keep an eye out for that.
Excellent. Beautiful. All right, Charlie, what are you reading at the moment or have just finished?
Oh,
There we
I've just finished Project Hail Mary.
Ah, that
which
was a great
I
book.
love.
Yes.
So that was great. So I really, really enjoyed that. And then before that, I've just read Piranesi, which was also absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I'm in a sort of speculative fiction, science fiction zone at the moment.
Excellent. Bring it on. Bring it on. As science fiction writers, we're going, yes, more of that, more of that.
Oh gosh, I love it. It's just
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
And it's that same thing that you mentioned before. It's
Yes,
a different world. It's somewhere else. Let me go somewhere else and be in another world where a whole lot of things,
Exactly.
some what ifs. Yes. Lisa,
Yeah.
what are you reading?
I just finished Beneath the Willow Tree, which is the Gardenborn Chronicles from Vic Liston. She's a Toowoomba, I hope I got that right, author. And that's the second book in a series, so it's an advanced copy that I've just read. And I'm on to now Justin Fox, who's a Sydney author, Game On, which is a psychological thriller. Political thriller. So it's not what I usually read, but I did read his Quietly Waiting and absolutely loved it. So I thought I'm going to give this one a go. So yeah, I'm trying to flip between middle grade and a bit of everything else. I'm trying to expand my reading.
Excellent.
So, middle grade writers, you are approached by authors who are dying to get into the kid market. I'm going to write a middle grade. What advice are you giving them, Charlie?
I would say definitely read some middle grade. Like, maybe go to the CBCA website and look at some of the books that have, like notable books that are middle grade, because you'll get the feel of it and you'll get the feel of the language. And it is always good to write what you want to write, but middle grade is such a specific market. I really think that, you want to make the most of your time. So knowing your audience is really, really important. So that would be my top tip.
I like that. That's good. Tina?
Yeah, that was really good advice. I think, yeah, there's certainly topics that are no-go zones in middle grade and things like that. So you need to be on top of that. The age of the characters or your protagonist at least needs to, I don't know. It used to be they couldn't be a teenager, but I think you can be about 13, 14, I think now, because kids like to read up. And there's certain things that can and can't be, or shouldn't be discussed in, I guess, in middle grade. So yeah, I think if you want to write a middle grade, definitely read lots and write the middle grade. I think getting published, if you wanted to get published, is a whole nother conversation.
Write what you like, but the gatekeepers are pretty.
Yeah. Don't let that stop you though. That's my biggest advice. Yeah, for everyone, because it is so hard, and very few. Especially if you're looking for traditional publishing, it's very hard to get into, and so few people actually can. So it is like you just have to keep writing. Like maybe that'll never happen, and because you have joy for it. That's always my biggest advice.
Leisa, anything you would add?
On top of those ladies' fantastic advice, if you've got an idea, just write it. Just get it down. You can always edit it later. So many people just get stuck in the idea of writing. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. It doesn't have to be perfect the 15th time. Just get it actually down. Give it to someone to read. Get some feedback. Get some feedback. And your best advice I was given is I use Word and that read aloud button. There's so many mistakes you can pick up with just having someone read it back to you out loud. Yeah.
Yep.
Very handy.
Sometimes it's a little bit scary. Just you listen and it's like, that is not what I.
Yeah. Not the way. No. All right. You talked about read aloud. What about audiobooks? Who would you like to read your books? Now, someone gave a really good answer. Tina.
Was it me? Because I already have audiobooks. And it was by Belle Parkinson, and she was incredible. And she does all the voices really well. And there's like animal sounds in there. Not from her. There's actual animal sounds put in there. So I can't imagine another voice doing it.
Beautiful. People who do the voices are just amazing.
It's hard work.
I love audiobooks, but it's really hard.
Yeah. My son sometimes asks me to do voices when I read to him, and I do like two, and then I forget what the other one was again. And then I start doing someone's Scottish, then someone's Irish, and then someone just sounds really strange. I don't know how they keep track of all of them.
And yet to record it and have that consistency. I'm currently reading a brick of a fantasy book, which has 95 characters in it, but every single voice is so specific. Anyway, Charlie, who would be really good at yours?
I'd like Shane Jacobson to read mine, because I think he'd have just the right amount of jolly and fun, and would pull out the humour in the books really well. Yeah,
excellent. Beautiful. Well, he lives around my town, and I sometimes see him at the supermarket. So if I see him, I'll say, "Hey, I know somebody who'd love you."
That would be amazing.
And look, he is a really nice bloke. He just says g'day, and because he knows people know. But anyway, what about you, Leisa?
Brilliant.
And I honestly don't know. And after you sent this question, I actually went for a bit of a Google and had a look. And I guess for me, so I picked Glenn Lloyd just because he had a deep, unmistakable Australian voice. It felt grounded, warm, familiar. It's a country story, that Aussie country feel to it. That's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh my goodness. So what is on the writing horizon? So you've all got a few books there. Are we continuing the series? I know we've already just talked about a brand new series, which I can't wait to find out more about. So Leisa, What don't tell us everything if it's a spoiler, just can you hint to anything?
Eric's Adventures is set in Dimbula on the Atherton Tableland. No, I love that sort of that just west of Mareeba time.
Yeah.
But Eric's bored, so he runs away to join the circus. So it was started as a single book that I wrote while we were over in Europe for 2 months, and it wasn't enough, so it's ended up being a 3-book series. So the first one will come out next year, and I always do a very short sort of chapter book that has the backstory for the dog. So last time it was Willow, who actually was one of my dogs. She's passed away now, but it's her story as a rescue dog. So I've done Toffee's journey, and she's going to be the circus dog you'll find at the end of book 1. So Toffee's journey and Eric's Adventures starting to come out next year.
You won't have time to go to work. I think you need to write full time.
And then the next series, because that's all ready, just waiting for the editing. The next series, as I said, I've got a couple of little Easter eggs about Ashland Bar at the end throughout book 4. So enjoy.
Ooh. Tina.
Oh, yes. What am I doing? Oh, I'm always writing, and I'm always writing something a little bit different. But so yes, I'm not sure what you'll see next from me. Could be could be a picture book, could be more animal related adventures. No, it's no more Wilder Zoo. That was the 3 books in the series, and so it's wrapped up nicely. But some more animal based fun friendship adventure, mystery solving, even books. And then I'm writing currently writing something a little bit different at the moment. For probably an older age group. So who
Watch
knows
this
what's going to
space.
come next?
Watch this space. I love it. Charlie?
I've got a picture book coming out next year, which is exciting. So that'll be fun. And I'm also just following my love of science fiction and speculative fiction. And I've just finished a middle grade science fiction sort of story. And I know there's not much out there, and I don't know if it will ever get a publisher because it's a bit, but it's something I really was saying. I really wanted to write it. And I'm hoping with the sort of science world that kids are growing up in with AI and all those things, there'll be a spot starting to open up in middle grade for those sorts of books. So called Rainbow Laurie, and we'll see what happens.
Fantastic.
There you go. Hook them early into sci-fi, so then
that's it. They can buy our books when they're older. Excellent. Now, Tina, we can't go without mentioning the podcast. So tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Oh, yes, the Book Deal Podcast, it's called. And it's myself, Madeline Cleary and Natasha Rye, who are also authors. We met through the 2025 debut crew. And that's just kind of how all the book deal started. Just lots of chats about, getting published, how to get published, what to do now that you've signed. Oh my God. The first, I guess, kind of year of the podcast was a lot of us just sort of going through our journeys together, which was really cool. But also all those questions that we had, we just asked them to other authors and industry professionals, so publishers, agents, editors, publicists, marketing, and recorded them, and we just sort of share them with the audience. And it's been going for a couple of years now. So aspiring and emerging writers are some of our biggest listeners, but then also seasoned authors listen in as well, because it's just it's just a fun chat. But we can learn a lot.
Yeah, which is good. There's a fair bit of laughter from the couple of episodes I listened to, which is good.
I actually often forget that people can actually hear us. But when people come up to me, I don't know if you get the same, Veronica and Laurie, but people come up and they go, I heard that one. And I'll be like, oh, that's right. I forget that you hear it.
That's right. We're just having a chat. Sometimes, just chatting about books and things.
That's exactly right. Thank you.
Very good. Where is the best place to find you and your books? Charlie, where can people find you online?
So charliearchbold.com, just website, and on Instagram, Charlie_Archbold, and just through publishers and public and booked out, things like that. So that'll be lovely.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Lisa.
I have a website, leisafail.com.au, and I'm all over socials as well.
Yes, I do see. Yes, you're doing very well over socials, much better than me. Tina, where can people find you?
Just Tina Strawn, which is STRACHAN, tinastrawn.com for my website, or TD_Strawn on Instagram, or you can just search my name and it'll come up. Or you can find us on the Book Deal podcast as well if you want to listen to some more stories.
Yes, and hear how it happens and all of the ins and outs of the writer's journey, which is fantastic. Yeah. Look, and keep listening to podcasts. People listen to us too. We are on all the podcast platforms, and now they're saying that we can do video on Buzzsprout, and I'm already doing video on YouTube. And how many hours can you spend doing all of these things? And so, when was my sequel out? Now it was due about 5 years ago. But anyway, that's all right. It'll be coming out soon, won't it, Laurie?
Yes. We are working on it.
We are working on it. So to Leisa Fail, Tina Strawn and Charlie Archbold, and of course my inimitable co-host Laurie Bell, thank you so much for giving us a lovely evening talking middle grade books on the Australian Book Lovers podcast. And our byline is to remember to read more. Let me start that one again. Our byline is to remember to read more Aussie books. So if you could join us and say, remember to read more Aussie books. Hooray. Thank you, everybody. And bye for now.
Bye for now.
See ya.
Let's meet again. Where magic happens.